Turks, the Caicos Islands, southeastern Bahamas, hurricane watches for northern Haiti, the central Bahamas, and the northeastern coast of Cuba. We want to get now more on Hurricane Debby and its path from our hurricane expert, John Hope. Join us from the expert desk now. And John, even though it's moved toward the north of Puerto Rico, does it pose still some threat for that island?
Well, not nearly as much threat as it did, because clearly the center is north of we're going to have some pretty strong south and southwest winds come across Puerto Rico, and they could certainly be up to gusts, hurricane force and gusts, especially up in the mountains, and that's where they'll be stronger. Also, where the southwest winds come in on the southern slopes of the mountains is where some of the heavy rain is going to be. But because this is moving so rapidly, all this is going to be a pretty short-lived affair in Puerto Rico. Now, looking at the radar, what we're very concerned about with this storm is it's going to intensify. And we're trying to diagnose right now as we look at this radar. We see the eye sort of getting closed off up here, and that's about 40 or 40 miles, 45 miles north of Puerto Rico. That does make us apprehensive. So what we're looking at here is the track of a hurricane, and we expect to track like so. Of course, it could be along the southern edge of that or the northern edge, most likely right in the middle. In any case, it's going to go squarely through, we think, Turks and Caicos, right up through the middle of the Bahamas, and be very close to southeast Florida by Friday morning. Now, it could be a much more powerful hurricane by then, and we're going to have to watch that very carefully indeed. Nick?
And no doubt folks in Florida are watching that very carefully. And what is the forecast? What are the variables here?
Well, the variables are how much it's going to increase. We think the inhibiting factor so far that has not allowed it to strengthen very much is the fact that it's been moving so rapidly. We think it's going to slow down a little bit. We think that will give it a much more likely prospect of developing further. It's going to be over very warm water. We think upper air conditions are favorable for development, so we're afraid it's going to get a good bit stronger.
All right. Thank you very much for that update. John Hope, our hurricane expert. Looking at the tropics now, here is Debby once again. And if you look very closely up toward the north, you can see Alberto. Look how quickly it's moving. That is still a hurricane, even though it's very far toward the north, 550 miles east of Cape Race, Newfoundland. 75-mile-an-hour winds in the center, but the speed toward the north-northeast is 28 miles an hour. Its central pressure still fairly low at 983 millibars, but it's still expected to become extratropical. Another storm that we're watching is Super Typhoon Belize. It is having devastating impacts now as it moves across the northern end of Taiwan. 160-mile-an-hour winds. We are seeing wind gusts, hurricane-force wind gusts right now around Taipei, and of course that is one area that we're watching closely. Damage in Taiwan is going to be extensive. We're going to see mudslides. We're going to see flooding from this, and as it moved through the area, you can see some of the damage here as the winds top 160 miles an hour. Several residents are stranded, 2 reported dead, 20 people reported missing. Residents in Taipei were lining up at supermarket counters for food, flashlights, and batteries in anticipation of the shortages. All domestic airline flights within Taiwan have been canceled. Train traffic has been pulled. So this is still going to be one of those areas we're going to keep getting damage reports out of Taiwan. As it strengthens and moves toward, or as it re-strengthens, I should say, and moves toward China, of course, it could have devastating impacts on the Chinese coast as well. This is Super Typhoon Belize, stronger than Hurricane Andrew, to give you some idea of the devastating impacts this is having. Let's talk about some impacts now here that thunderstorms are having in San Juan. Mike, what's the latest?
It's a very quiet summer evening so far here in San Juan as the sun sets. We've had some rain today. We've had some gusty winds, but the worst of Debby, fortunately for the island and for here in San Juan, has stayed off the coast, off the north coast, as we've been showing you steaming by to the north. We still expect some rain during the evening hours. Behind me, some of the hotel guests have ventured back out into the pool this evening, trying to get in a post-dinner dip before the sun goes down. And notice the beautiful tropical stratus deck rolling in. These are some of the bands that circle around Hurricane Debby as it pulls off to the north and east at over 20 miles an hour. Still some rough surf out there as the waves break along the coral reef. For the rest of this evening, some more showers, some rain bands, especially on the eastern side of Puerto Rico, and as those southwest winds take over, some of those mountain slopes may total out at 5, 7, 8 inches of rain. So we'll watch for some flooding there. But for all intents and purposes, Puerto Rico has dodged this one, and Debby moves on now to the Bahamas and maybe the United States mainland. Nick?
All right. Thank you very much, Mike. Of course, keeping an eye on Debby. We'll keep you updated here on the Weather Channel. Let's up to the north of Puerto Rico with winds of 75 miles an hour in the center, moving toward the west-northwest at 21 miles an hour. Its current location, 60 miles north-northwest of San Juan. Its path takes it toward the Bahamas, could reach into the northern sections of Cuba as well. As it gets closer to the United States, we'll keep an eye on it and update you. We're watching
when wind literally rocks a 100-story building. Plus, we're taking you on an exotic trip to Destination Aruba. Don't miss Atmospheres with Mish Michaels and Jim Cantori, premiering Wednesday, August 23rd.